All right, I'd like to welcome in the former UFC light heavyweight champion and one of the legends of the sport, Tito Ortiz. Tito, thanks for taking the time today. My first question is, after your last loss against Matt Hamill, UFC wanted you to retire. How hard was it for you to ask for one more fight?
It was really hard. I didn't expect it to be so hard, but they ended up doing it. They said they gave me another chance. And I looked at the guys who had competed prior, having a draw to Rashad Evans, who became on to become the world champion. Having a decision loss to Machida, who became on to be the world champion, and having a split decision loss against Forrest Griffin, who was a former world champion, for a guy who was coming off of back surgery, was able to compete against these guys like this. I thought I was doing something wrong. I thought I was fighting tough fights against the toughest guys in the world. I had no gimmies. Losing to Matt Hamill, who's a really good wrestler, I was dominating on our feet, and he outlasted me by getting good takedowns. I made some mistakes. After having neck surgery and coming back competing against Matt Hamill, for only 7 months later, I kind of just bit my lip going, why would you guys want me to retire? I mean, I made it through these injuries. I'm competing against the best guys in the world. I'm putting on a show. I'm not getting knocked out. I'm not getting dominated. And they still thought it was different. So I kind of had to tell them that I'll do whatever it takes to fight again.
And speaking of injuries, how are you feeling right now? Because I know, like you said, the neck and back injuries. Are you 100%? I know each fighter has their own little injuries, but is there anything major going on, or are you feeling the best you felt in the last couple of years?
I feel really, really good. I felt better than I felt in the last 6 years, 7 years, since I had my back problem. My lower back is no longer has the problem I had before. My neck is better. I mean, the neck didn't happen until before I fought Forrest Griffin. That's when my neck really had a ruptured disc in it. But they fixed it. Dr. William Smith, that's in Las Vegas, who did the surgeries, God has blessed him with great hands. And my physical trainer has pushed me to levels that I haven't seen in a while. So I guess when you have a great surgeon that does a great job, your body's able to bounce back and be back into shape.
Gotcha. In terms of your opponent at UFC 132, you are facing Ryan Bader, who is 12-1 in the UFC. Now, in the past, you've talked a lot of general trash talk with each other to build up to the fight. But with Ryan Bader, he's not really talking. He said in the beginning that he's not really going to talk trash with you. And that's usually your forte, because you're probably one of the best in the UFC trash talking. Is there any reason why you and Ryan are keeping it quiet? You just want to go out there and fight?
Well, exactly. I want to go out now. I want to fight. I will let my fighting do the talking. And I don't think Ryan Bader can keep up with my trash talk either, so that's why he's keeping hush hush. But I think on a respectable side for me, I respect Ryan. I think he's a great fighter and a fellow wrestler. Most fellow wrestlers I have a lot of respect for, because nobody knows what we go through as wrestlers unless they wrestle themselves. And the sport of wrestling has been such a great give back to me. I'm very thankful for all the coaches who have helped me through my wrestling career. And why talk smack on someone who has worked as hard as I have in the wrestling world? And I respect Ryan. I think Ryan's a great fighter, and he is an up-and-comer, but not tonight, not this week.
Speaking of Ryan, he does have excellent boxing and wrestling skills. Did you focus on either one more than the other in terms of looking at his past fights, in terms for your fight next week?
Well, I think I really focus on my takedown defense and my boxing. I focus on both. Not one stronger than the other, but I know my wrestling defense needs a lot of improvement, and I worked on it a lot. So I'll be able to shut his takedown down, and hopefully he's able to, get frustrated and start pulling guard, and you'll see a ground and pound Tito Ortiz again.
And actually, that's what everybody wants to see. But many other fighters and fans are looking at you as this your last hurrah. Do you think this is your last hurrah, or do you want to, if you do lose this fight, do you still want to continue fighting in another organization, or Is that not something you thought about? Yeah, you just want to go out there and decide after the fight?
I'll decide after the fight. You know, for me to go anywhere else, there's really nowhere else to go. UFC has bought everything up. But if it's my time to leave, then it's my time to leave, and I'm not going to disrespect the sport, and I understand that, but my back's pressed against the wall, and I'll be swinging for the fences. I'm going to give my heart and soul and, you know, mind, every one of my fights. To me, I'm going to go out and I'm going to fight as hard as possible. And Ryan Bader, he better be in great shape. I'm in great shape, so we put on a great fight on July 2nd and give the fans what they buy the pay-per-view for. And every one of my fights, I always make sure I give them bang for their buck.
Now, I've probably heard that many fans and fighters are going around saying Tito Ortiz is just a guy that was in the UFC and didn't really help the sport of MMA, but they can't deny the fact that you helped jumpstart the name UFC and made MMA more mainstream. Does that affect you at all when you hear people bashing you and how you supposedly didn't help the sport?
Well, I think about this, and all these people who say this stuff, these people have been fans for the last 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
They weren't fans 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 14 years ago. I was here when there was people didn't pay attention to UFC. And the reason they pay attention to UFC because they saw me, and I spoke out, and I fought tough. I won a world title only after a year and a half of competition. I defended my world title longer than any light heavyweight has ever defended, even came close. And as of today, as of 6 months ago, I've been the longest competing UFC fighter in the UFC history. People mention UFC, you know Tito Ortiz. You mention MMA, you know Tito Ortiz. I'm a household name in the sport, man, and I've done my job. I broke more records. I broke, more things in the sport that any fighter hasn't even came close to doing. I've laid the ground down and the future for a lot of fighters, and they got to respect that. They got to understand that, because if it wasn't me laying the concrete down, their way wouldn't have been paved to how it is today.
Gotcha. In terms of Twitter, back to Twitter real quick, I know you're one of the biggest UFC fighters with the most followers on Twitter. Do you ever find that there's distractions on Twitter that you just have to step back for a while and look at it? Or do you enjoy Twitter, and how do you keep that balance between your everyday training and life?
Well, thank God I don't train 24/7. I train my 6 to 8 hours a day. From training, to go get food, when I'm eating, I associate. I talk to my friends. I've always been a fan-friendly fighter since day one. I understood that. Fans want to get a chance to be a part of my life. I keep my personal life out of it now completely. I don't talk about my girl. I don't talk about my kids. I keep everything simple and to the point to fighting. My clothing company, Punishment Athletics, my supplement line, Punishment Nutrition, my gym, Punishment Training Center, and the guys who I train with. And I use it as promotion now. For a lot of motivation for people who read my tweets, about, I'll put some keywords in there, motivation, of dedication, of sacrifice. I always ask questions to my fans of, what makes them thrive to be better. A lot of positive reinforcement stuff, and I try to be as positive as possible, because I did kind of get sucked into the personal life and everything like that on there, and these people don't know me from as much as I know them, or either or. And I pretty much just stuck it as that. It's a business tool now, and I understand that, and it helps out a lot.
Gotcha. And one last thing, on your Punishment gym, how is that going? I know you did a little redesign on the gym. How's that going, and what's the numbers looking like for your training?
Well, it's doing really, really well. We're growing about 10 students a week, and I teach kids classes on Tuesdays and Thursday nights from 5 to 6. The adult classes from 6 to 7 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I teach wrestle submission, so it's cool. The parents have a great time seeing their kids do stuff they never saw them do before, and the kids are like little robots, man. They catch on really, really quick. Yeah, I love coaching. It's fun. We have Rob Emerson, who does Muay Thai kickboxing classes, and Ricardo Abreu from Brazil, who's a black belt that does jiu-jitsu and no-gi jiu-jitsu classes. And it's a great atmosphere, man. It's very, very clean, very nice. I built the floors myself. I painted them. You know, I laid down the stripping. You know, I mean, I did everything pretty much myself. It was my ideas with the colors and the layout, and it's beautiful on the inside. So just one of those things, man. It's right down the street from my house, and that's what I always wanted to do my whole life, was have a gym close to my home, and I do now.
Awesome. Well, Tito, I appreciate the time. If you want to thank anybody or anyone for your fight leading up to Ryan Bader next week, go ahead and do that now.
Yeah, you know, I just want to thank all my fans who support me, of course, on Twitter and at TitoOrtiz.com and at punishment.com. I want to be very, very thankful. And, you know, on July 2nd, there's going to be some early 4th of July fireworks, and they're going to be on Ryan Bader's face. So it's going to be a good fight, man. I'm going to give my heart and soul as I do every one of my fights. And this one's dedicated to the fans. I want to thank them very, very much.
Wanted to thank Tito Ortiz again for coming into the MMA Interview Lounge to take some time to talk about his opponent, Ryan Bader, who he faces at UFC 132 next week. So be on the lookout for that and definitely order that pay-per-view. It should be a good one. Stay tuned to MMA Disputed for more of your MMA